This is my first time going live. So you can imagine, um, for an older guy like me to figure out this tech side. So I have no idea how it sounds except through like a monitor. So any advice would be greatly appreciated. Um, I'm assuming everything is sounds well or looks well or lit well. I appreciate it. So this is just a test live for today. If I'm in focus, the tech side is overwhelming me at this point, but I think it's interesting. So what I'm trying to figure out during this live test is one, if I'm in focus, two, if you can hear me, and three, if I'm lit properly. Those are three simple things. If anyone could respond to that, I would greatly appreciate it. Um, Fantastic. So I could be heard. Um, I'm not really a tech guy. So this was took me about a month to set up these lights, and I'm going through an OBS, which I had to learn about. So it's very interesting. Um, I'm just a marathon runner and a designer, so I guess I kind of know the aesthetics a little bit. So interesting. Um, what's more intriguing is once I get comfortable with this, I think I'm going to be talking about my journey as someone who experimented running marathons in my 50s because I didn't start running until I was 50. So it was a 10-year experiment because I will be 60 on Sunday and I'll be running my 29th marathon in Huntington Beach. So I'm going to start a new journey. I'm in a new age bracket. I'm the young guy. Doesn't that sound great? I'm the young guy now. So I think this next 10 years is going to be a test. And you know, it's interesting. I think that I'm wondering, my computer screen is over here. I would have to turn to do the live feed. Interesting. Well, I'll begin. I know this is going to be boring because I was more concerned with the tech side of going live. So this is the first time I'm going live, and I know everything's delayed. So I have like headphones that I did tests with, but I don't know if I want to use headphones. And the microphone is kind of set up in a way. If I could get it perfect, right? But this is interesting. So I'm shooting through not on my phone. I'm shooting through a Lumix Panasonic G85. So I had to Elgato, I guess, a sound card. So the camera goes through the sound card into a mixer, into a Mac. And I had to buy all of this stuff and then learn on TikTok and YouTube how to connect everything. And then I downloaded Restream, uh, Atom, another streaming, and OBS. So there were three, uh, two plugins, and then the OBS software. But a 60-year-old guy isn't meant to do this, but I managed to figure this all out. Well, with the help of a lot of YouTubers and TikTokers. So I managed to do it, which it was overwhelming at first, but I'm glad that I got through this. I mean, I was relentless. The lighting, um, the little mini set that I built, you guys can't really tell because it's a vertical. So TikTok only allows you to do a portrait style. But I believe I'm on YouTube too with the 9:16 aspect ratio, which is then you could see the whole set. I mean, you could see my medals and my bibs, the most important ones, and but here you can only see that backdrop is the cover of a book that I wrote, which is just got delivered. So once I get that, I will be talking about that because it was a diary that I wrote over about 10 years, and then I decided to put it in 40 chapters in a book. So um, that's my first book. So I'm pretty happy with that. I have to wear my glasses to see some of these comments. You're on focus, can hear you. Lighting is good. I love it. Perfect. Now, the only thing I have to figure out, I have dogs, big dog and a small dog. And I'm upstairs in my cabin and I have a few wires that I need to manage or the dogs are going to rip all this down. But it's pretty self-contained. So I'm pretty happy. But this is great. I'm glad that I am live. I will definitely be more prepared with running topics, challenges, what it's like to be an older runner, training for marathons. I think that's very important. I call it preparing for the storm. It's very interesting that, if you take care of yourself, my phone, I better shut that off, right? Oh my God, I'm learning about all this crazy stuff. Or silence it at least. Yep. Um, okay. So I usually speak about something preparing for the storm. And that storm is getting older. It's inevitable. And as a runner, um, it's very similar to life. You know, a marathon in life, it's about the long run. It's not about the sprint. And how do you prepare for it? And I think it's very interesting to get a perspective from a person that started running when he turned 50. So I wasn't a runner at all. So my approach was incremental and systematic, and I really didn't rush it. And to just run is one thing, but to run a marathon is completely different. So I was in great condition after about 2.5 years, running 3 to 5 miles 5 days a week. And then I decided to run the New York City Marathon, um, not realizing that being in shape and marathon shape, two completely different things. And it's a different approach. And it was quite an awakening because I got destroyed in the New York City Marathon. Like most amateurs, and I mean not seasoned marathon runners, I went out too quick. I was overwhelmed by the massive amount of humanity. It's New York City is quite remarkable, and there's an energy about it that's very unique. And I got swept away in this energy. And for those first 13 miles, I felt indestructible. And then, like mile 15 to 18, the wheels fell off. And I could do nothing. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of runners just were passing me. And I was just trying to finish. I never stopped running, not once, but I was just struggling. I did not finish that marathon with dignity at all. And it rained. And the most amazing thing about that day was I was cold and wet the entire time. And you would think, after 18 miles, your body temperature would rise and you would get a good sweat going. And I was freezing. I think everything was depleted, so my body couldn't stay warm. So when I entered the Bronx area, there was like this lone guy on a bridge holding the sign, and that was the first real experience too. How connected the people are, and how clever they are, and how creative they are with their signs. I didn't even know that part of it, and he was like in a rain jacket, or maybe like he was. I think he had a garbage bag over him, and he had that sign that you see a lot. Um, Pain is temporary, glory is forever. And he was screaming at me. It was quite remarkable. Like that was that first connection I had to a spectator who was a complete stranger who really cared. It was pretty powerful. I get, as you're going to know, I'm a very emotional person. I'm an artist, so I realize that whatever is going through my body at a particular time, I don't want to really suppress it because that's just going to screw everything up. We want to be in the moment as much as possible. It could be embarrassing. I'm sorry, but it was quite amazing, that experience, and that got me through those last 6 miles. And when I say got me through the last 6 miles, like I was leaning forward, and that's what was creating this motion. I mean, I was dead. My core was dead. My legs were dead. Everything was dead, and mentally, I was destroyed. You know, I didn't know anything. I couldn't rely on anything. So it was a very humbling experience. And that's when I decided to really take marathon running serious. And I did so much research. And you hear a lot on my videos that I will experiment. I hate to just speak about things without testing them first. And I don't mean once or twice. You really have to get involved in these experiments. So um, I take my time, and a lot of times I think maybe people get frustrated. Well, you're sharing this information, but are you recommending it, or is it the right way to go, or you're in the process of discovering something new? And that's how I learn, and that's being very patient with these experiments. You can't rush them. I mean, the outcome, it is what it is, and we can't manipulate it in any way. And then as you get older, it even changes more. So this was quite an experience. 10 years of running, um, from 5 miles to doing longer time on feet runs to preparing for a marathon. The I shouldn't say right way, um, a different way that worked for me. And that's the key to all these experiments. You take information from people, and this is not just running, this is life in general. It could be art, it could be finances. You take what someone shares, you process that information, and you discover through these experiments what works for you. Because everybody's different. And everyone has their golden nuggets, and something may work for you and other things won't. And that's, you just process the information, set aside what doesn't work, and um, embrace what does work. That's the beauty of mentors and sharing and all this social media. It could be overwhelming in a negative way, but there's so much incredible information out there. And you could just, if you're patient enough, you could really find something that works for you. But you can't rush the process, and definitely not marathon training. And if you're older, you have to build up um, so many different muscles that you're not used to using. And you can't rush that. You can't just shove it into a month or a 16-week training block, because everybody's different. You just have to incrementally and systematically and methodically um, be consistent with that workout, and allow, this is the most important thing, allow your mind to catch up to your body. And I think that is something that's very difficult to understand until you've been humbled. And you hear it 1,000 times. Running is like therapy for your mind, and marathon running is about mental strength. And if you don't allow um, that process, you will get destroyed. I mean, destroyed. You won't know the difference between, should I stop or should I push through this incredibly uncomfortable feeling? And I don't want anyone to push through something that could destroy them or hurt them. And there's a different thing about a mental pain and a physical pain. And that's where it's key. You got to let the mind catch up to the body. And that's a lot of running. Not fast, has nothing to do with pace, has nothing to do with miles, has to do with time on feet and putting that time in and allowing your body to become stronger. I wear a hat because I'm old and bald. I had a magnificent hair like that. I'd never. Oh, I appreciate that, brother. I got to just, that's not me. That's my pop. I guess my Italian genetics. But we could say you're more aerodynamic than me, right? I'm like, I think my beard and my hair are like, definitely not aerodynamic when it comes to running a marathon. It may hold me back, but I am grateful. I am grateful for a lot of things. And I'll get into why I started running. I was just really overwhelmed. Let me tell you this, setting this live setup was more difficult than training for a marathon for me. It was um, like the simplest things. Like I couldn't figure out why there was static on the microphone. It like took me like 4 days. It drove, like I was waking up in the middle of the night and I could not process um, how to stop the microphone from the static. And I was just, and it was such an easy setting on in OBS. So now I like technically, I'm not the most stupid person in the room. So I advanced. I entered the room of technology of setting up this live studio. And now I advanced to another room where I'm the dumb person again. So I'm trying to learn as we go through this process and to make it as convenient as possible so I could press a button and then sit in this chair and communicate. Because that was the key, which is interesting about running too, why I embraced marathon training. In the mountains, I put on my pair of shoes and I'm off. I have my routes that I love, that I know exactly how far they are. So most of my runs, I mean, you see my videos, but most of my runs, I don't carry my phone. I don't wear my watch, no music. I'm just really connected to the run itself. And I found that that's the way I got my mind to catch up to my body. It was that those voices are probably, the voices in your head are probably the cruelest doubters and haters. You think it's your inner circle or people around you who are preventing you from succeeding because they feel extremely uncomfortable because you're making this enormous effort. No, it's the voices in your head that you can't drown out. I mean, you have to listen to them. And once you get control over them, and I got control over them by running because they're out of shape. They're not in great shape. I mean, they can hang around maybe 3, 5 miles, but when you get up to 10 and 15 and 18 and you get to 20 and 22, there's a silence. I mean, the first time you get up to that mileage, you could hear your breath and your heart because there is no voice in your head. There's just, they are just so out of shape because the only thing that they do is complain and prevent you from getting to another level. By 20, they're done. They can't hang. I think that's the one remarkable thing that I find very addicting. Besides like finishing a marathon, um, that energy, it's that silence right before. It's powerful. And you learn so much about yourself in that silence. And the silence sometimes is interrupted by the agony and that strain and um, I guess overwhelming sense of um, how durable are you in those moments, because your mind and your body is like, you want to give up and to power through. You just have to like trust. So that's a very interesting quiet time. Sometimes it lasts 5 miles, sometimes it lasts 2 miles. And then all of a sudden you're like, as you reach that last mile, depending on the city, and you hear the roar of the crowd, or in the bigger marathons, the people, you the silence is broken, as it should, because you want to be in the moment. And then there's, you're back to the marathon itself and being involved. It's amazing, man, and it's not easy. So it's not like you can't take it for granted, because you are really being tested before that silence. And I think the more I get tested as I run, the silence is so much more appealing, if that makes sense. So I have to figure out this feed, because, like, if I look this way, I can't tell, and then there's a delay. So that's very interesting. Unless someone has advice on how you deal with that, the delay of the comments, to also the delay of the your image, the vertical image on your computer. So I don't know really. I'm getting, I think it's a delay about 10 seconds. But as long as everything's working, I love it. I really love it. And it's quiet. I have that is a big picture window over there, so I blocked out the sun with these drapes that I designed. Um, so it's really dark in this area, and it's a little nook right up my spiral staircase. Um, so it's going to be my studio, and I have lights like hanging. It's funny. It's comical. I should take a picture and show you guys. I don't want to move my camera because it took so long to set this camera up, to level it, and yeah, it was overwhelming. It was so crazy, nuts. I think that's the one thing I'm envious of the younger generation. They, technology to them is just like they plow through it. It's very interesting how none of this stuff rattles them. The gamers, they're like multi cameras, and everything sounds and looks great. I mean, it's pretty wild. I mean, I gotta give them a hand. It's pretty impressive. But I will improve. I will definitely improve. And yeah, I ordered all of this stuff. Oh, so crazy. So I guess I think I'm gonna obviously, this is for me. I think this has a lot to do with my therapy and marathon training and the videos, and obviously the comments. And if I could discover something that works for somebody through one of my experiments, I mean, that's the key that makes me very happy. But I think the live Besides, I need to get progressive out of the Stone Ages. Um, it's definitely a therapy session for me, to become a better teacher. And I think the more I put myself in these situations, the better I can communicate um, my experiments and my findings. Because everybody's so different. Um, when I share something, and it appears to be I'm adamant about sharing something specific that I discovered while running, it's not like I'm telling you you should do it. I'm not a professional. I'm not um, a running coach. I'm not a nutritionist. I'm just a guy. I'm just a 60-year-old guy that trains and loves running marathons. And I'm just sharing it from that perspective. Um, so I hope you can connect with that because it's very honest and it's in the moment as it unfolds. So when I have these epiphanies or something is intriguing and I learn something, or there's a change or a decline, or something fades away as you get older, things start fading. I share it in the moment. And I try to be creative with how I express it because I love to write. And some of my stuff has got a bit of a melody to it. And, you have to listen to it a few times to understand it. And I like that. And that's what that's working your mind at all times. When I go to a museum and I see a painting, and how it affects me initially, and then eventually, um, if you're patient enough, the artist whispers and reveals secrets, and that's the beauty of art, and that's the beauty with poetry and reading and music. It's how it eventually evolves and how you connect with it. Food, same way. You know, you could say you don't like a particular food, but how many people can make that food a different way? And you may love that same thing you rejected because someone else made it subtly different. That's why I think you got to give everything a chance and be open to everything, especially when it comes to running a marathon. You really have to discover what works for you. And the majority of information out there is, you know, it's a blanketed way of getting people involved in running. And that's wonderful. But I think you really need to be patient to find what works for you. That gets you connected on another level where you could stay very consistent, and then that discipline comes in because there's so much more at stake. That's why, you hear a lot of people say, I'm going on an easy run today. Well, first, when you're 60-year-old, there's no easy run. I mean, it's just everything's a challenge. But I know when people say easy run, they're focusing on the physical aspects of running and the training. But to me, those runs that are slow and methodical, which is a better way to describe them, you should be working on a lot of stuff, and especially the mental side of it. You'll be surprised on one of those slow, methodical, long runs, the things that come up that you are very uncomfortable with, the things that are revealed during those runs are not easy to deal with. So I can't describe a run as easy because there's so many things that I'm going through mentally and physically that those days are over. I mean, I would love to just pop out of bed and go on this amazing run and hear all the birds and the smells and you know bask in the cool breeze and sun. It's just I mean, I'm putting on my shoes, my back. It's like, why does this foot hurt? But you fight through it all, and that's a part of it, and that's why these slow, methodical warm ups, especially for an older runner. Sometimes it takes me 5 miles to warm up. Like I know it. Like my body clicks. Like there's just besides the endorphins, there's just the oil going through the old bones just clicks, and you just feel really good to that controlled stress because you always want to challenge yourself with something. That's how you grow. And, the whole point of why we run is to grow and be strong. Yes, it's wonderful to finish, you have a goal and to run a certain miles. That feels good. And your watch tells you a bunch of information, and that's wonderful. But if you're not doing this to get strong, um, you have to understand that as you get older, um, you need to make an effort because you do not want to be a victim. And yes, a victim has a physical presence to it. When you approach someone that's frail or you approach someone that's, neglecting their health, they look a certain way. They look fragile. And I don't want to look fragile ever because you get taken advantage of. If I go to an ATM, obviously I'm from a city, so I'm completely aware of my environment. My head isn't in the clouds, but I have an energy about me where if someone were to consider um, taking advantage of me, they're going to go, I don't know if I want to screw around with the old guy that looks pretty freaking powerful because I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood to be challenged. And I think that energy from running, from strength training, from hill training, from competing, it's overwhelming. People could feel it. And that's the strength that I'm talking about. How life and you handle life when you're strong and you're focused. Because you don't want to be a victim. It's pointless. I mean, just the fear of that is, I can imagine how overwhelming that could be for some people. So that's one of the number one reasons why I started this marathon journey. It wasn't just to finish and to get a medal. That's wonderful. And if that's where you're at and you're running routine or where you are in your story, that's wonderful. But I'm doing this to be strong. That's the number one reason. And marathon training challenges me on that level. And I think that's something you need to discover, like how powerful training for a marathon is. And there's so many ways to become stronger. And one day I'm going to share all this stuff, all my secrets. So let's see what we got here. Just shot 10 videos. Joined DJ Eddie Brune. I thought you ran wrong. How hard was running in those streets? Oh, this is the best. So so Rome is like running through a giant museum. Literally running through a giant museum. It was spectacular. But then there's the cobblestone streets, like the 400. Those are they're probably older than 400, but they're 400 years old. Very difficult to run on the cobblestone streets. And then the roads aren't flat; they're concave. So everyone wants to run in the center of the street because it has the best integrity. And down to the left and to the right of the street, as it gets lower, it's pretty degraded. So you're constantly looking down. And as you know, if you run a marathon, you really don't want to look down that often. You want to get in your groove. You want to be aligned, looking forward. But in Rome, I mean, I looked down a lot. It was pretty intense. And then traveling there was spectacular. It's so that's a bucket list. The Rome Marathon. It happens, I think, the same weekend as LA, which I'm running LA this year. That's next month, and I'm running this Sunday in Huntington Beach, Surf City. I think I called it Sun City on my video. Surf City. That's a nice marathon too. All these are all Boston qualifying marathons, by the way, because that's another one of my personal goals to qualify for Boston. Like that's the pinnacle. That's how do I connect with my peers? I know you shouldn't be competitive, okay? But I am. I am. I just am. I'm a competitive guy. And I know my place based upon the Boston Marathon, qualifying for it, how many people my age around the world try to qualify for it, how many people don't qualify for it. So it gives me where my place is. And I think that motivates me, obviously, to run the days I don't want to run. We need something. The why. I mean, we have all our spiritual stuff and our healthy reasons and how we feel. We want to be in shape as we get older, but there's that little secret motivation, man. Like, where do I, where am I in this world with my peers? I love all that stuff. I mean, I love it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, competition, there's nothing wrong with being competitive. And if you feel uncomfortable with being competitive, that's cool. That's all right. That's that's fine. That's why, what works for you and what works for another person is different. You have to accept everyone's opinion. But if you are going to challenge it, this is something that, like, what do they call, I guess the younger people call it the icks of running, which is weird. If someone rejects one of my experiments or my findings, they first say, well, first, they don't have a picture. Second, they don't have any videos. And if they do have videos, it's someone else's video that they posted. I mean, I guess that's great for monetizing. I don't know. That's way past my pay grade. But they say, no, you're wrong. Well, okay, I'm totally cool with you not agreeing with me. But your next sentence should be, why don't you try this? Like, isn't that the whole point of debate? Like, I'm rejecting what you're saying. And then the whole point is sharing something different. Then the conversation takes on a different tone. Then it's about discovering what works for you or discovering something new. And then it's more of a conversation and not this like tense moment between people. Well, I did it this way and it worked out for me. Well, that's great. Gold star for you. It worked out for you. What about the million other people it didn't work out? Are you concerned with them? Like the people that fail at mile 20? You think they fail because they didn't eat enough? You think the majority of them, if eating goo and gel and carbs was the answer, everyone would finish a marathon strong. It's not. It's so many things go into finishing strong at mile 20. And yes, if you ate your goos and gels, and yes, if you only ran 3 times a week, and whatever you're training, you only maxed out at 16 miles, that worked for you. Wonderful. What about the million other people where it didn't work? What do you say to them? Too bad? Because they did that same training plan, that 16-week training plan, which I think is really insane for beginning runners and people that are starting running as they get older, because it's not enough. 16 weeks is not enough. That's, let's just say, I'm not going to say you're going to get hurt running a marathon if you only train 16 weeks, but you're not going to enjoy it. You're going to be miserable. You're going to get destroyed. You're not going to finish the marathon strong. You're not going to finish with dignity. And you spent all this money and time, and it sucks running that last 6 miles where you're struggling. It sucks. Like, listen, I understand to just finish is a goal for some people, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't care if you walk. I don't care if you hug. I don't care if you high five. I don't care if it takes you 7 or 8 hours, 9 hours to finish a marathon. That's your journey, but that's not my journey. Every time I run a marathon, I want to do the best that I could possibly do. And there's something about that that makes me stronger physically and mentally. And some days it works in my favor, and some days it doesn't. No marathon's the same, no matter how hard I train or how consistent I was. I think that's the beauty of it. Even the marathons that I've run, the same exact course, every time you run it, it's different. The day's different. Your age is different. How you feel is different. And it's a challenge. That's the beauty of it. Not one marathon has ever been the same. Not one. You get ambushed sometimes at mile 15, sometimes at 18. Sometimes you're pushing through mile 22 and 23 and you're like, wow, I'm feeling great. And then a cramp or a stitch or the side of your stomach. And, you just have to control your breath, get back into your pace, and fight through that uncomfortable feeling. That's what I do. And that's the beauty of it. The beauty is everyone is different. So when I look at one of my medals, if, I walk by one day and I see it, I don't really remember the finish line. I remember that challenge that I went through to get to the finish line. That's why each one of those medals is a story. And it has nothing to do with the finish. It has to do with the journey getting there. So I'll recap. This is my first live, and the first challenge was setting up the lighting, the set, and the tech part was overwhelming. For an M60, it was just insane. It was just, I can't believe I got through all this. So people are saying that the lighting's fine, it sounds good, and that's my main goal. I think I'll improve the lighting. Um, I don't know if I could ever watch this because it's on a delay, but I'm figuring this all out. And my dogs are restless. I don't know how long I've been on, but this is a pretty interesting thing, and I'm excited. So I'm going to be more prepared. This is like going on a marathon training run, which I never would recommend, to just go on the run, without um, some thought behind it, because your time is extremely valuable. And as you get older, you're going to realize that commerce, that exchange, time is more valuable than money. So you don't want to waste your time. You want to get the most out of it. And that's efficiency. And I believe the more efficient you are as a runner, um, the better experience you have. And to be more efficient each time is so difficult. You have no idea how difficult it is to become a better runner. I mean, it's a wonderful thing that anyone can move their arms and legs, because we were designed that way. Our creator created us to move. I believe that's the one attraction to running, is that, you lace up a pair of shoes and you just move at a comfortable pace. But to become better, that's where running is a highly skilled sport. And those runners that are great, the hours, the time, the dedication they put in is just, I mean, we don't see it. We see them in their glory and a little clip of them training, but the hours, it is just, that's when they run and they look like they're striding, like they're floating on a cloud. That's so much work that goes into that. I mean, how beautiful they look is hours and hours of work. It's like a golfer's perfect swing, or anyone that has like that discipline, guitar player. I mean, just the relentless hours. And running is like that. You could see, you could tell a seasoned runner by how they move, by how they sound. They sound different when they run. It's very interesting. It's it's um it's art. It is absolutely art. And to be great as an artist, you need to put in so much time. So I still haven't figured out all this conversation. Um, like who's online, who's not online. But thank you for being patient. I'm going to end this, because this was my first live experiment, and I'm going to see how I can improve. So for now, I don't even know how to stop the live. That's how. Let's see how we do that. So 53 minutes I went. Okay, so now it tells me how long. I got to pull up my OBS streaming. My TikTok OBS. Um, so this is really interesting. You're only seeing a vertical, I think like this aspect ratio for TikTok. But I have this like, my medals are over there, my bibs are over here. I mean, there's so much panorama, like my set's like wide. But TikTok doesn't do that. I'm wondering if I could flip it. If anyone knows that, like how I could um, go live in the different aspect ratio, that would be great. Because then I could point to stuff like my toys. But we're going to work on that. We're going to absolutely work on that. But the fact that I got this to go live, I'm telling you, finishing a marathon is easier than going live on TikTok. And people think, well, that's insane. How could you say just press a button and go live? Listen, 60 years old, not that easy. Well, I mean, to do it the right way, with a microphone and a mixer and a computer and lighting and an array of stuff. So I wanted to do it right. I like to do it right, you know? And plus, do you have any advice for runners who are just starting off, maybe like a year so into the journey? Okay, that's an interesting question. Um, so I'll recap. I started running at 50. I never ran before. Like, I played sports when I was younger, but I never like ran cross country or methodical running. I never ran. And then I started running, 3 to 5 miles, 5 days a week, pull ups, sit ups. You have to do some strength training while you're running. Um, and running just to be in shape, 3 to 5 miles, that's a challenge. I think if you're consistent, um, your body will change, your mindset will change. But it really changed when I wanted to run a marathon. So if your question is about running a marathon, I think it's incremental and systematic training. You can't rush it. And the people that do rush it, that's why you get injured. And I've been very fortunate that that was advice that I got in the beginning. And the only time in 10 years I was injured, I was running later at night. And as you get older, your perspective um, isn't as clear as it once was. And I stepped on this like rock and I twisted my ankle and it wiped me out for like 4 weeks. And I missed, that was the only marathon I ever missed because I couldn't run it. So that was an injury, but it was nothing I could do. It was out of my control. And because I train in a methodical, slow, methodical way, I don't rush the beginning of my runs. I know when my body is warmed, where it's ready to um, have a challenge. If I'm going to do hill training or a weighted vest or speed training, I know where my body needs to be before I put that controlled stress on it. And when I say controlled stress, it's I'm purposely challenging myself to grow. Because I think a lot of times you could be static and not grow. And I think that's the challenge. Where is that fine line that you're aggressively challenging yourself each week and not putting too much stress because you're in tune to your body? You're paying attention to it. I think that's the most important thing for a beginning runner is to learn about their body and what your limitations are, what you need to work on, what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, and do your research. You should always be doing research. There's so many smart people out there that have, you know, done the research, experimented with the research, and are sharing their opinion. You got to take what works for you, experiment with it, and then push aside the stuff that doesn't work for you. And that's a process, the mental side of running. You have to be patient. And the more you run, this is going to sound crazy, the more you run, the better runner you become. Okay? It's just, it's not a part-time thing. And a lot of people say, what do you mean you run 6 days a week? I only do it 3 days. I get it. If that works for you, you're fine. It does not work for me. I run 1 marathon a month. Okay? I average from 10 to 12 marathons a year. I'm in marathon shape, 365. I have goals set in mind. I want to qualify for Boston. If 10 of those marathons I'm running, I only need to qualify for Boston in 1 of them. Now, Boston's so competitive. If I qualify for Boston 5 minutes under my time, I know that that's not going to hold up. I go for 10 minutes or 12 minutes. So my Boston qualifying time in my mind is completely different. That motivates me. That keeps me running and training on days where I don't want to run. And that happens a lot. As you get older, I get out of bed, I'm like, oh my, I just feel awful. And I just slept. You would think, wow, my body would feel great. I'm brushing my teeth and I could feel like, ah. So I realized that once I go on that run and I warm up, my body is at its best. So if you're starting out as a runner, you have to be patient enough to know your body. And once you know your body, then you could challenge it more. And once you challenge it more, then you could grow. And you have to be consistent. It's like watering a plant or feeding a dog or anything. You have to be consistent for it to grow and to maximize its efficiency. And that's our goal. You have to be very strict. You can't be erratic. You can't run a marathon erratic. You can't be all over the place. That's why, if you're going to run a marathon, I'm of the belief my pace is the same from, the first mile to 26. Sometimes I push it at the end. Sometimes I lay back in the beginning. If it's cold, you have to adapt and change. But usually I'm within 15, 20 seconds. That worked for me. That's how my body runs efficiently. Now you have to discover that. It's just like I read that 100 times. I didn't get it. But the more comfortable you are and the more confident you are as a runner, the more information you can absorb because you're in tune to what's going on. So, new runner, be patient and allow your mind to catch up to your body. I think I'm going to leave on that positive note because my dogs are hungry. I could hear them barking. So let's see, just as a goal, how long was that? Okay. So an hour, 3 minutes. If this was a marathon training run, I would just be warmed up right now. Sometimes it takes me an hour and 3 minutes to warm up, especially in the altitude, especially in the hills, especially in the mountains. The air's thin. The hills are relentless, slow, methodical, incremental, systematic. There is no rush. But time is extremely valuable as you get older. So make the best of it. You guys hear that expression, oh, showing up is half the battle. Showing up is a part of the battle. It's the choices you make after you show up define who you are as a person. Anyone could show up. But what you do at your time defines who you are. Sometimes when you get older and you realize how valuable and fragile your time is, it's too late. So appreciate that as a younger runner or as someone that's starting out in this journey, that eventually time is going to be your most valuable commodity. More than money, more than assets, more than your house, more than anything. Time. So if you're going to show up, value it. That's 3 things. Thank you. I will be live again soon. God bless. And I'm going to end every one of my shows like I end my videos. Why do we run? We run to be strong. Very strong.